Welcome to Real Estate Minute. I'm Tim Matthews, and today I'd like to welcome Kara from Mazel's Legal Services to answer a few landlord and tenant questions. Today's question is, how can a paralegal help me as a landlord and a tenant?
So as a paralegal, I do mainly represent landlords, and the main reason for that is tenants do have access to local community legal clinics and get free legal advice on landlord and tenant issues. So typically if a tenant does call me, I always offer them that if they're not aware of it. I would rather see them not spend money if they don't have to and get the free legal advice they need. However, there are situations where a tenant wants more in-depth representation, and I do represent them if they so choose. However, my main area is representing landlords. Landlords do not have access to free legal help, unfortunately. So often landlords come to me because I know the ins and outs, I know the process, I know the steps that need to be taken, I know what will work and what won't work in an eviction. A lot of the times, landlords actually come to me after they already tried the process by themselves. And they've come to me because they filled out the paperwork, they served it on the tenant, they filed their application, they've received a hearing date at the Landlord and Tenant Board, then they go to the hearing date and they're advised by the adjudicator that they made a mistake on the very first form and the whole case is tossed. So if we're talking about non-payment of rent, then you could have been looking at maybe you've started the process 4 months ago and you've now have 4 months of no rent and we have to restart that process. So I know what to look for. I know to triple check the forms. If we're off on a date by 1 day, the whole case can be tossed. If we don't have our rent amounts right, if we're off by $1, the whole case can be tossed. I know what to look for and know what to be sure of when I'm filling out the forms. And so when I start the process, we do it right the first time. And although it costs money for a paralegal, I can end up saving you money in the long run, because sometimes if you do it yourself, you've wasted 4 months and lost 4 months of rent, among possibly other things, more damages, interference with other tenants, and just the overall stress and headache of going through the process. So if we're talking about just non-payment of rent, I typically can actually go to the hearing without the landlord, and I can conduct it myself. So if there's different issues though, sometimes the landlord is required if we're talking about damages, or we need to have you as a witness to maybe some altercations that have happened at the complex. I'm there to take the emotion out of it as well. So when you do have to be there, it can be nerve-wracking. You don't understand the legal termination, you don't understand the process, you're not really sure why you're sitting there waiting, or you're not prepared for surprises. I know all of the surprises that can happen and I'm prepared for all of them. I've been doing this a long time, so we can avoid all of that and be prepared for all aspects and every situation to happen and end up with an eviction the first time.